is of two huskies. Now I want to talk about foreground and background and midground. Foreground, it's important that the foreground looks clear and bold, and where pastel kind of is good for that is it promotes like a darker tone to the black and yellow for the sunlight and the black of the fur. Where I kind of was my shortcoming for this was when I overblended the legs a bit, because they really blurred the image, and it took away from the clarity of the foreground itself. Where I did well was the background. The background, all I had to do was blend the pastel shape in very well and promote like a lighter texture to the background, so that it kind of looked blurred out, sort of like if you're looking into the far distance into the depth, the farther you look, the less clear the image is going to be, and the more merged together the pieces are going to be, because they're going to become smaller. Where I kind of lacked in this image was the midground. The midground was a little tricky because you have to transition kind of from a bold, clarified foreground to a merged, blurry background. So you kind of have to find the in-between look of that. So that's what I want to talk about firstly. The second thing I want to talk about was the shape of the huskies themselves to promote character. The shape of the young husky, I kind of made it a rounder feature, because when you're younger, you're more rounder in body texture, and this kind of promoted an innocent look to the husky, innocent, inexperienced look. Whereas the older husky had more experience, and therefore his shape was more jagged in features, and it really promoted the coolness of his experience and in his teachings to the young one here. So the second art piece I wanted to talk about was my tree here. The bottom part piece, I was trying to promote the lack of clarity that one would be born into, where they see kind of their fears initially and the beauty of the flower. What I did I thought poorly here was the transition between the white and the black. What I thought I could have did better was I could have shaded the pencil a little bit darker in tone, so that made the white to black transition a little bit easier. Where I did well with this was up at the hand here, where I took advantage of the shading effects of the pencil and rounded the finger a little bit. As well, the marker in the tree, it kind of merged into the hand naturally, because it promotes sort of like a wet look to it. And from this, the two objects kind of molded together and looked like they were on the same plane, and looked like they fit together more. The second thing I wanted to talk about was the background here. When you have a smooth white surface, you kind of had to layer colors a little bit more to promote like sort of depth to the shadow and the texture of the page itself. Whereas with my sculpture here, I kind of made a sculpture that would mimic my paper piece. The background has already a rough texture to it, so that all you need to do is kind of emphasize the shadows a little more with a darker tone, and it kind of promoted a good 3D texture shape to the fingers here, and as well to the flower that spreads out. So background's was important for me, because the difference between the two backgrounds is the one already had a texture to it, the other one had a smooth texture, and I had to create like this rough texture with the colors.